Let's talk about it.
Hello and welcome back to a very special episode of Thicc Radio, the award-winning podcast where we talk about gaining, fetism, and everything plus size. I'm James.
And I'm Tim, so let's get into it.
Now listen, y'all, we are very happy to be participating in this, the fourth edition of Podcastathon. For 1 week, thousands of podcasts are going to be highlighting a charity of their choice. If you'll remember, we had the opportunity to partake last year. We had a lot of fun, and we got the feedback that some of you were actually very generous indeed. You dug deep and you made it happen for our charity at the time. So listen, we're hoping that you can give us round two again. So today, we have the pleasure of welcoming Open Arms Transformation Living's founder and executive director, Fonda J. Royster, like Jane Fonda, but cuter. Girl, how you doing?
I'm good, sugars. How are y'all?
Doing good.
Awesome.
Doing good. Listen, y'all, you don't know this, but this is actually just because of tech and because of the world being crazy. This is not the first time we've tried to get this recording on the books, but you know what? Even the last time that we sat down with Miss Fonda, we were chatting for like 5 minutes trying to get it together. It just didn't happen. But I walked away from that experience feeling so elated because even just like 5 fucking minutes talking to you, I was like, oh, this bitch just, you shit sunshine. You know what I mean? Like you give such great energy that like I was just like, oh my God, like how wonderful. So like, go. Where does that come from? That like just that vibe. Where does it come from?
First of all, you had me feeling like I'm about to say an Oscar award-winning speech or something. Let's just start with that. And secondly, just seriously, you never know what people are battling with internally. So if I can be a seed of hope just by showing my buck teeth and dimples, that's what I'm gonna do.
I mean, you were just, I mean, I know I talked about the positivity, but like charisma, I think someone who is just like oozing with the id, right? The thing that so many people want to say that they've got, but maybe you've got it. And I feel like that benefits you so much with the fact that, you know, you run this charity and it's all about trying to connect with people and trying to get people on board with the mission. And I think a personality like that really gets people invested in the work you're doing. So I think a very obvious first question is, for listeners hearing about Open Arms Transformation Living for the first time, what is OTL and why did you feel called to create it?
So ODO is Open Arms Transformation Living, no judgment, just open arms. And simply what we do is we provide basic essentials, right? Free food, free clothing, free hygiene kits. Our main target populations are ages 9 to 20, and they are survivors of human trafficking, teen domestic violence, and youth homelessness. And the vast majority of our homeless youth are youth that are not with any family support. Because when people hear homelessness, they think, you know, mom, dad. No, we're dealing with babies that have no one or in foster care system. And that's another story. So I must stay centered. Why I started it, because the target population that I listed, I am a survivor of all three. And I believe that whatever we come through is not really about us, it's to help somebody else. I'm just paying it forward. Somebody saved my life and I'm just paying it forward. These are societal issues, very mass, but people either overlook it or underlook it. It makes people uncomfortable. And my thing is, okay, if it makes you uncomfortable, what you gonna do to change it?
You have shared that your own experience with teen homelessness helped to shape the organization. How did your lived experience influence the way ODL operates today?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so when I was out in the streets, 14, just turned 14, naturally I dropped out of school because I'm the dirty kid, right? So why am I going to go to school? And it was the main thing is the judgmental piece. Because when I went to school, I tried to go to school, and the teachers were looking at me like, you just wanted them kids, right? Mind you, I missed like the first 3 months. Nobody asked me, was anything going on? None of that. They just judged me. And I left out the school building when the first day I tried to go and never went back. On a more personal note, I had family members that knew the situation between me and my parents. Nobody intervened. They called each other, and I'm talking about adult folk. I don't care about kids. Kids gonna be kids, but adult folks, my aunties, my uncles, calling, collaborating with each other, saying, "Hey, she dropped out of school. True. She smoked. Well, I wasn't a smoker, but she drinking. Okay, that's a little bit true. She's in boys' faces. Okay, that's a lot true, right? But this is the thing. If you are on survivor mode, most likely you're not going to have high self-esteem. And what are the consequences of that? You're going to exploit your own self. You're not going to see yourself as valuable. And for me, I see myself as a human mattress and I moved accordingly. And I know, and again, I know how it feels to be judged and no one asks you, hey, well, what's going on with you? How your day going? And I'm not saying every baby that I encounter is like Tinkerbell, from Peter Pan. All of them ain't like that at all. They come with attitudes, you know what I'm saying? And I get it. And that don't move me at all. Because at the end of the day, I know that's a hurting child. I don't believe there's ever a bad kid. I believe there are kids that have been exposed to unpleasant things. And just like we all have coping mechanisms, what you see is how they feel, and mostly about themselves.
Baby. It's even like the conversation about the workplace. The suggestion that, oh, they don't want to work, they just come here to collect a paycheck. First of all, yes, I collect a paycheck because that's why I'm doing the damn job, because you need to pay me so I can survive this crazy world that we live in. But the supposition that somebody works their butt off to go to college or university to get a degree, to get a job of a certain stature and level, just to show up and not work hard and not do the dang job, I don't believe that for a second. If someone
Right.
is not doing their job properly, or if someone is struggling, I'm actually not inclined to believe that they're just not trying hard enough. I'm inclined to believe that there's a reason for that. And I feel it's the same thing with our youth. I think it's the same reason with every category of human. Why are we so quick to believe, oh, you see someone out here struggling? Oh, well, they've done something to deserve that. Or they're not just trying hard. Maybe that is not
Thank,
the tea.
thank you for hitting on that. Because I'd say nobody grows up to say, hey, I'm be a heroin addict. Hey, I'm gonna be a hoe. Hey, I'm gonna neglect my kids.
Yeah, like that was my
Things have
goal from
happened.
day one, was to fuck a bitch up. Like, no, that is not the energy and the spirit within which people move through the world. I guarantee you that if we found a way to just like snap fingers and solve all of society's problems, everybody would have a good day tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, no one, if we could actually solve all this shit, I guarantee you nobody would be out here looking to have a problem, because everyone would have what they need, and that'd be the end of the story.
But that requires people to exercise empathy. And you have to be intentional with empathy.
Now, ma'am, you would say before about your experiences, and I know you don't necessarily say you want to dig into it too much, but I'll probe a
I don't
little.
care.
Well, we'll take a second here just to probe a bit, because you shared like that was something that you experienced, that team homelessness, and of course that has shaped the organization. How did your lived experience in particular influence the specific ways you operate OTL today?
I can tell you now, I'm gonna give you an example. When I have a workshop, everybody that comes into the workshop, you are hugging Miss Fonda. And half of them be looking like, who is this fluffy black lady hugging on me? Right? And it's appropriate, right? Because I want you to experience how it feels when somebody is happy to see you, genuinely happy to see you, and I don't want nothing from you. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we teach on healthy relationships. After I hug you, you gonna eat. And it's the thing, we ain't have no pizza, we ain't have no hot dogs. I am hot dog and pizza out. I don't know about y'all, if y'all ever gotta go to trainings, I'm over it. No, we having home cooked fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, all that good stuff. Because some of these kids have been without family for so long, they don't remember how it feels to be embraced in a family setting. So we have conversation. It don't even have to do with the workshop first. How was your dad? Who you booed up with? He got kids. He stayed with his mom. I talk to the kids just like that. I'm not, hi, how are you? Because one thing about kids that I love, and sometimes they scare me, they ain't got filter. They don't. They gonna tell you what it is. You know what I'm saying? I got some kids. I'm like, my cute in this dress. They be like, no, Miss Fonda. it's too much hanging on the side. Don't do that. And I respect that. So what's the point of me coming in as an imposter and they singling me out? Because the thing is, if you come as a fraud, you done lost them from the jump. You done lost them from the jump. So after they eat, we do the workshops, we engage, and afterwards we do a giveaway, right? Everybody has access to clothing, shoes, hygiene kits, and I'll tell you, get a bag. I don't care if you try to say I don't need no bag because it is, an embarrass. I try to get how these new age kids are. Even in my generation, like we jumped off trees, roofs. We was rough. These kids, they're a little delicate, and it's okay. It's okay. And they worry for sure how other people perceive them. So I never single out, even if I know, hey, this baby is unhoused, everybody gets something. So nobody feels singled out whatsoever. And they're having a good time. And that helps break down barriers because a lot of them, of course, come in with an attitude, right? Because I know for me, not to move ahead, but I know for me, like I call children's services on my mother. I called because I'm like, I'm not about to keep getting big, beat upside the head for no reason. And children's services came, they talked to me, and guess what? Returned me in the same household. So you think when I ended up in the street, I'm gonna call them again? I'm gonna trust them? No, no. So
That
and
system
I
is
love
so broken.
is very much broken. And one thing I will say, my mother is my mother is 66, my bio mom. I've seen my mother cry 10 times in my lifetime. That was the first time, age 13, going on 14, I seen my mother cry. She admitted to the caseworker, mind you, Black woman, we got this cape. We strong. We can handle anything. And she said, I'm struggling. We're poor. I don't know what to do. And I just remember, I was like, it cries? Okay, it cries. Because she's always been strong in my eyes. And the caseworker, who was pretty much her same height, white lady, she looked my mother in the face. She said, don't put your hands on your daughter again, walked out, closed our case, never gave any intervention services. And a few months after my 14th birthday, I was out on the street. So I love to serve too as a liaison because you do have some good caseworkers. You do. You do. You do have some good caseworkers. And we also serve as a liaison because the kids trust us. We're not seen as baby snatchers like children's services. You know what I'm saying? And even with the parents, we build a rapport with the parents because what's the point of me for the babies that are housed? What's the point of it's not a what's the point? Yes, we pour into our young people. But if mom is touching her ankles because she don't know how to pay the rent, that's still gonna have an effect on the child. So yes, we deal with the kids for sure, but we also help the parents or caregivers.
That's beautiful. And, even listening to the way you speak about it, one, the passion, but also two, that lived experience is so clearly at the forefront of what informs the actions you take, and that it's very clear that it works. Because even the kids in a new generation where they speak a different language and they do different things still resonate with your story and go, well, this person's coming at us with an authenticity, and an authenticity I can trust because I know what that is. And so I can work with that. And once you've got that established, it's walking it back step by step. Like, how do we get you from there? How do we bring you back here? You said you acknowledge that parental situation over there. What can we do with this to try to make that situation better in the long run? I often think about, for me growing up, I was one of five kids. It was a lot of us. And I often think about the way in which some of the kids needed more attention than others because of whatever situation that went on, right? And the logical parental thought is, well, you don't need that help because I don't see you struggling. So I'm not going to give you anything else because I don't think you need anything else. But you internalize that because you go, well, I have to now be strong. I can't be seen as weak. Otherwise, you're going to need to give me something. And I can see how taxing it is on you to have to give extra to this child. So I can just see that if the moment I look weak, you're going to go, oh, I have to go help you. And you're meant to be strong. And you internalize that. So even in like the healthiest of households, as far as people might perceive it, very simple actions can lead to really negative internalized thoughts and feelings in the kids. So I love that there's an acknowledgement of that. that, yes, we want to help the young people, but also what can we do for the family? What can we do anywhere that we can do something? What can we do here? Again, it resonates so powerfully with the mission and everything that you're trying to achieve. And I know we were just sort of talking about this, that child services is a broken system and it's so much as this, but like, what are the major gaps that you see particularly in Toledo's youth services? The kind of thing that makes you go, oh, I need to do something here.
One of the main things is criminalization of homelessness. Kids get locked up because they keep stealing food. So instead of the police like, Taquan keeps stealing Doritos and candy and everything else. Why? Let's look deeper into that. So instead of reaching out to children's services, we have, due to this climate in the political world, things are very challenging. I will say that for nonprofits. However, instead of legal authority reaching out to nonprofits, especially us grassroots, they lock the kid up. I don't know what that's supposed to do. And this is the thing, there's no mental health services, there's no mentoring services upstairs. And again, if I'm homeless, I only can really speak from personal. I was a self-harm person. If it wasn't letting somebody violate me, I'm a cutter, I'm a drinker, right? And you got all them thoughts in your head. And we're not even gonna talk about the survivor piece because you get hungry enough, you're gonna do what you have to do. But then people don't think about you sitting and replaying what you had to do to survive. So now I'm locked up with all that I just discussed. What do you think is going to happen when that baby gets out? Female or male? What do you think is going to happen? The other thing is when I first started my nonprofit 5 years ago, I went out to, oh God, y'all gonna get me in trouble, but it's okay because I always be in trouble. So when I got off the streets, my oldest maternal auntie was living in New Jersey. She had her best friend drive me to New Jersey. So I moved to New Jersey. Moved back here a couple of years ago. So I left a 14-year-old. All I knew was the projects to now I'm a very grown woman. So my eyes are a little wider, right? So Jersey, melting pot, we know that. But now I'm in Toledo, and you remember Cheers, where everybody knows your name, right? It is so black and white here. It's not a what you know, it's who you know. The point of me saying that is I reached out to 4 organizations who I know deal with the population I've been serving for the last 25 years. I was told I can't work with you because you're competition. Come back when you better know, because don't nobody know you. Or
Competition.
they judged my exterior, right? Because today y'all wearing a calm wig, but usually I'm pink, I'm green, I'm purple. I'm a chocolate punky rooster. I love it. That is what I'm comfortable with. But here in Toledo, the typical social worker is a middle class white woman named Becky with blonde hair, and she's very conservative. Okay, that's I do fishnets and stuff. So I'm not, I just don't look the part. I don't look the part. I don't, and I've been told I don't have a safe face even today, right?
Say
So
face.
those, yeah, safe face.
What? What
I don't know
the
what it
fucking?
means either. I don't
What the?
know. I don't
What
know.
the
And
fucking
and I'm and
fuck?
I'm rough. I get told that a lot that I'm rough, and I'm like, human trafficking is not soft. Getting your butt kicked is not soft. So my message is not going to come across soft whatsoever. I don't have to cuss. I don't cuss, but I do come across rough because again, because of my experience. Yes, but then also these babies and trauma is trauma, but again, they a little bit more, I don't want to call them fragile, but it's just different. You know what I'm saying? We come from that era where y'all look definitely younger than me, but I come from that era, toughen up, like shake it off, keep it moving. You can't tell these babies this now because yes, it was suicide back in my day, but for sure now. And I don't want these babies to make a long-term decision based off a temporary. And I tell my kids that any space I'm in, this is not your forever. That's what my auntie told me the first day I arrived in New Jersey. This ain't your forever. I didn't even think I was gonna see my 15th birthday. And now over 30 years, look at me now. And transparency goes a long way. It's a lot of survivors out here, even in Toledo. But another barrier is, and I'm going to shut up after this, people are not willing to be transparent. I know it got to do with shame, but I think it's that thing of, too, I don't want to relive it. And it's not that we're reliving it. And I'm not going to say some stories I may come up with, it may not hit me in my chest like, dang, right? But the main thing I focus on out of all my embarrassing stories is the kids know, dang, Miss Fonda made it. I can make it. The kids know if I go to Miss Fonda and say, listen, I just love with 20 guys because I was hungry and I was just on one. Tell them like they crazy. I'm gonna be like, you better call me next time so you ain't gotta have Mr. Earl sweating over you. It's not no shock face like, oh no, no. And they still gonna get a fluffy hug from me. I don't know. Those are the barriers that I see. I don't get a lot of partnership, and I'm not saying this, like, oh, she'll get. I don't, because people are not comfortable with the work that we do. They're not comfortable being with behavior kids. They're not comfortable or being with kids, and then they're like, oh my gosh, she just said she did what for some? No, no, but it's only by God's grace. They didn't have to go through that. But that's when it goes to empathy goes a long way.
Empathy, the lived experience, and frankly, the realities of adult humanity. I think there is a real desire sometimes in a lot of these programs that says, oh, the child has been hurt. We must bring them back to childhood. We must coddle them again. We must love them in such a way as they maybe like they would have done had things not gone in a certain direction. And I do think that is a lovely sentiment. But I also know for me, when I experienced my big trauma as a 12-year-old, that was it. I was no longer a child. Childhood was gone. And there was no claiming that back. So the only people I found that I would connect with on an emotional level were people who really just connected with me like a real fucking person. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. When these kids come in, no matter what their background, no matter what their particular experience is, water off a duck's back, you just roll with it. Like, okay, bitch, that's
Yeah.
what we're doing
And
right
I
now.
love,
Okay.
and I forgot, we do have church, because I'm not Martha Stewart. I don't river dance. I don't moonwalk like Michael Jackson. I don't do none of that, right? But I do have people come in that, because art therapy rocks for kids. It because everybody ain't a big mouth like me. You know what I mean? Can you believe that? But they're using art allows them to express themselves. And even just taking my kids out to, like, we have like urban here around here, or even like like a teenage Chuck E. Cheese. And I've had people like, why do you take them play? Can they be a kid for a little bit? Because a lot of them parentified. I need them to feel like a kid, to be in a safe space with safe people. Can we do that? Or even I took a group to Golden Corral, and some of them had tears in their eyes. Now Toledo is 5 seconds big. Why the baby? Because she ain't been outside her projects ever. So it was a new experience. You'd be surprised. What we take for granted, somebody else would so appreciate it. So appreciate it.
I'm curious to ask, because we in doing our research on ODL, it says that it's described as trauma informed and relationship focused. And what does that actually look like in the day-to-day running of ODL?
So, besides what I already mentioned, with the trauma informed for sure, educating the kids again what healthy relationships look like, not even on some dating thing, because we get slack about talking to 9-year-olds about certain things. But the fact of the matter is, statistics show that most kids are groomed or victimized by somebody they know, pimped out by somebody they know. So that's on the aspect of the young people. It's the adults. Because I try to be empathetic. I got to practice what I preach with people that have not been exposed to things I have been exposed to, which is a blessing, right? But it exists. You need to be educated on it. risk factors, consequences, what we can do to avoid it altogether, right? Because yes, it's good to be informed, but also we're trauma responsive. What we gonna do about it? What we gonna do about it? You know this is a problem. And for those, I'm gonna call them bougie people, that what they got to do with me? You know, because I asked somebody, what this got to do with me? And you hit people good when you hit their pockets. So I go back to, so little Fonda Johnny is 14 again. I done got locked up. I don't have no job. Who gonna pay for my stay there? And then they're like, oh yeah, well, how much you need? It shouldn't even have to go that far, but it has worked, and we're going to keep using it. So trauma informed is, and then the kids sometimes don't understand why they respond. I'm all over the place. Should have told y'all undiagnosed ADHD, but kids don't understand why they respond the way they respond. Because again, I was one. It wasn't just victimized by people that's trying to get something from me. Well, they were, but it was if a young man knew my situation, but I felt like he wasn't judging me because he didn't care. But then he's like, well, you want to be with me, you want to sleep with me, and then such and such got to be able to watch. They ain't got to do nothing, but they got to be able to watch. Like that's, and to me, I did it, and I'm not really understanding, but it was distorted, a sense of validation. This person garish about me. I don't have nobody. This is the most consistent thing I have in my life right now. So just even educating them on why they probably respond how they respond. Hope I did not confuse you with all of them answers.
All of this is just so potent, and I really appreciate you sharing so much of this with us. I want to take the opportunity here to remind people listening in, because today is a very special episode. As we said before, we're doing this as part of Podcastathon 2026. We're looking to garner some support for our good bitch Fonda and for the work she's doing with Open Arms Transformation Living. So please make sure you are checking out the show notes for links, and please make sure that if you have any questions, tune into the rest of this episode to learn a little bit more. But I would be curious, if I may, to ask a little bit about what are maybe some of the misconceptions that people have about homeless or at-risk youth that you wish people understood a little bit differently?
So let's talk about myths. Myths are kids just want to run away. When in reality, 50% of the kids, they do run away, but they're running away because of things that are going on at home. The other 50%, they're kicked out, whether or not it's foster care, whether or not mom got a boo, and because the baby wouldn't give it up to the boo say he or she got to go, because that happens in real life. Why would I run? And I'm tell the truth, shame the devil. I ran away a couple of times before I was out because of things that were going on in the household. But rationally, why would I take and when people say they just want ready to run away, why would I run away to the unknown streets for no reason? Obviously, I'm feeling like, especially as a young person, what's out there gotta be better what's in here. Because yeah, I might be touching my ankles out in the street, but then if I've been passed around every family member, I had to touch my ankles then, I might as well have some type of control, be out in the street. Then it's a thing of these kids, they can just go to a shelter. Northwest Ohio Safety Net is the only shelter in Northwest Ohio. It's the only shelter. We have 88 counties. We don't even have 1/3 of youth shelters at all. Shelters and typically are typically for adults. And when I call, because I randomly called to be nosy, like, hey, I'm 12 years old, I needed, you got to have a caregiver's permission. I don't want to talk bad about, the caregivers, but if I'm a caregiver, I'm exploiting you and I'm still reaping the benefits of public assistance, well, I'm going to let these people know my business. Make that make sense. The other issue is when we talk about even the homeless youth, unaccompanied homeless youth, we don't think about the subgroups. We don't think about the LGBT. I don't know all the letters. Don't y'all boycott me. I don't know them all. But the rainbow Skittle babies, right? Because think about it, if you are a young trans woman, right? You go in a typical shelter speed. Let's just say it is a shelter, again, like safety net, right? but they pretty cool with this. But there's some shelters that's not cool with this. The baby comes, and now it's more trauma because they're getting ostracized, they're getting bullied, and they might get exploited. People don't think about that. Or babies with disabilities or teen parents. That's very huge. That's very huge. Their needs, everybody's needs are going to be different. They're going to be different. So I went to the left with that. I'm sorry. And again, it's the criminalization of homelessness. These kids are not villains; they are victims, and it definitely hit with youth of color because, especially young Black girls, they not seen as innocent. And I hate playing the race thing, especially with babies, but it's the reality. They not, if it's a Becky with blue eyes, right? Automatically in general, oh, she's cute. If she leave, what and for leave, get kidnapped. Oh, they know she got kidnapped. They know it. You got a little Fonda, and I go missing. I ran away, but I actually got kidnapped by an old pimp. But it's just this stereotype that again, we're fast. We don't feel pain. Matter of fact, we like when you disrespect us. You didn't know that. So it's just all those things that play a part.
I was going to ask what homeless youth looks like in 2026, but you've painted such a picture of the kind of kids that you serve and the way and like some of the backgrounds that they come from. And we talked a little bit earlier about, the political climate of the United States and how it's sort of on a decline. So like what other challenges are you facing right now with like getting funding? Like, are you really having to like just get you like the squeaky wheel is what my mother used to say. Like, have you had to be that type of person who's constantly fighting and pushing just to get a little bit, ahead in this operation?
Absolutely. So let me go back a little bit. So youth homelessness, typically people I know on commercials and stuff, you see people unkept, not clean. No, they look like us in younger version. That's what our teenagers look like. They know how to make it look good. And it funding. Let me tell y'all something. We got hit, especially with grants, because with grant writing, it's certain words you can't use. You can't say vulnerable, at risk, youth of color, vulnerable, anything that we know a certain population needs help in, you can't say that. And me being hard-headed, uh, I'm not taking out the words because the main populations that are at risk, disabled, rainbow babies. And let me just touch on this because some of my ideology can be perceived as conservative. But I tell people, I don't care your color, your religious belief, and I'm saying this with my whole boom booms. No child should be homeless, point blank. No child should feel like they have to exploit themselves to survive, point blank. Sorry, that was my 20 cents. But
No, but baby, speak on
now,
it.
nonprofits are encouraged to collaborate, right? Because what you don't got, maybe I got in, switching off. But it's challenging because I told you that we stand out. It is what it is what it is. It shouldn't be that way, but we definitely are set apart. We have some organizations like touch on like human trafficking. We have some organizations that touch on domestic violence, but it's not none besides us in Lucas County that hit human trafficking, teen domestic violence, youth homelessness. And again, I don't fit the typical social worker. I don't I don't have that much filter. I'm doing good because I went from 10 to 20%. So it is, I mean, and you know what? Everybody can't handle that. Because I told you, people say I am aggressive. I'm like, assertive. I'll take that. But aggressive, no. Overbearing with love, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I am one, even when we have our little, each kid, they gonna hear me say at least 5 times, you all right, baby? You go get something to eat, get something to take home. I know they want to take something home, but they kind of no, everybody get a plate. Now I'm aggressive like that, but yeah, it's those are the barriers. For sure, the funding, because everybody got hit. That's a nonprofit that deals with this type of work. But even with the collaboration, it's very hard. This year, and I'm very transparent, even with my vulnerability, with talking, even with my kids, one of the activities I have us do is, hey, I'm proud of myself because I overcame this. And I told my kids, I'm proud of myself because I no longer try to fit in. I no longer try to fit in. I didn't try to break my neck, but it's like looking at my colleague like, hey, we doing the same thing. We both got a shared mission. Let's do something together. I don't break my neck no more. Like, you gonna give me a piece of chicken or not? What we doing? Because I got the cornbread. You want to share? No, I keep it moving. I started off my nonprofit. I was trying to get funny till a year later. I started off with ham and cheese sandwiches, going to the park, feeding the homeless, and God made a way every time, and even now we don't get funding. Them pictures y'all may have seen, donations. Thank you that donated because they're not looking at the messenger. They see the message. That's another barrier, but we ain't even gonna get into that.
No, but all of this again, it resonates so hard. It's the adage of the world to say, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes all sorts to get this world to go round, and we know that. We know that everyone is different, and everyone needs to bring what they bring to the conversation to really resolve everything that we've got going on. But someone like yourself comes into the conversation, and maybe you bring more energy. Maybe you bring a certain tone or a certain way of doing things, and then they turn around and go, "Well, that's not us, and therefore it doesn't work." Baby, what do you mean it doesn't work? Nonprofit
Everybody
industries
has
are,
something to bring to the table. One of
yeah.
our volunteers, she is up, she say middle, but she really upper class because when you can build your house from the ground up, you fancy. But I remember when she first came, she was like, I don't have nothing to offer, Fonda, older white lady. And at the end, like, the kids love her. I'm like, everybody has something to bring because a lot of my kids, they're just used to seeing certain types of people, right? And if I be honest too, I'm not gonna say I was like overly fearful of white people growing up, but it was that cautiousness, like, because it usually meant trouble. Police, caseworker, some usually meant trouble. So to expose them to people that are still safe but different from them, that's a benefit. If you ain't got time, you got treasure, meaning money. If you ain't got money, you got a talent. Again, that river dancing. Somebody I know gonna want to river dance. Everybody has something to offer. You are without, even if you think you have an excuse, you still without an excuse to help. It ain't even got to be my organization. All these other organizations that are helping our youth, because it's annoying to hear these kids, they fighting, they shooting each other. Da, da, da. But what are you doing besides lip boxing? What are we doing? Are you mentoring? Are you and listen, as much as I cuddle, please know I still fuss too in a good way. Because why you still in that situation? Because I remember you told me last time we talked, he made you do this. What's the benefit of that? I don't beat them over the head, but I want them to hear what they told me. You tell me why you think that this is acceptable. I don't tell the kids everything they want to hear. No. But I tell them what they need to hear. And this is the thing, you can be firm with a kid, but if they know you care, they gonna respect you. They gonna respect you.
And I was curious, can you think of any other stories or examples of a time that like really captures the impact that Odal had on a young person's life?
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad I got my lashes on. Y'all ain't about to mess me up. I started because the initial mission was basic essentials, give it out. And I was the DD specialist at juvenile court. And 90% of my moms were survivors of domestic violence. And if you can't tell now, I'm like nosy. And I was like, well, when were you first exposed? And the young lady was like, hey, before kindergarten. So my thing is, well, we need to implement something so these kids ain't got to talk to me when they become of age. So I had a set of, at that time, they were 11 to 12. And then one of the sisters, it was some sisters. So no, 11, 15, and then another 11-year-old. And like I said, just engaging the girls and getting to know them. And at the end, not even at the end, even with workshops, at the end, I have get girls say, well, what did you like? What didn't you like? Right. And one girl towards the end, she said, I don't have to cut myself anymore because I know I'm worth it. With that being said, this same, but even now, I'm still in their life. They tell everybody I'm their black auntie and I'm rocking with it. But even with her up and downs, right? Because sometimes it's not an overnight success story. It's the fact that they know they can call me. They can reach out to me. And you just don't really know what kids better with, because at the same token, she was told by the mother, hey, your daddy left us because he really wanted a boy and you came out a girl. So dealing with that for 13 years, because dad did leave, but now you're putting that on yourself. Oh, I'm not worthy of love. So this is what I need. And this is somebody that would have 40 heel slashes on her wrist. So just even something simple like that's not simple. Stories like that. Or a kid that shared a story. Because I tell my girl, you gotta use your voice. Silence kills. So just even with them, they may not run their mouth, but even writing a letter and slipping it to me like, hey, this is what happened to me when I was younger. This is where I'm at now. That's a success story to me. A baby getting an apartment. That's a success to me. You know what I'm saying? And even though they may come back like, can I borrow $1 for a burger? You be like, are you kidding me right now? Success story. Having relationship, you can't go wrong with that. So
That's
I hope I
beautiful.
answered it. Cause
No, that's baby. This is so good because listen, we have the privilege as two people sitting on this side of the conversation to not know what that experience is like. We have that privilege. And so it's easy to sit there and pontificate and think to yourself, well, I wonder what this is like, and I wonder about, and here you are gracing us with the realities of that situation. And not only telling us what it is and how it is, but sharing with us the joys, sharing with us the power and the successes that come from the work that you do. And I want to highlight that work because you have done some things, Miss Thing, with Odal. You have brought programming into schools and libraries. And you've even managed to host events like the Brick by Brick Gala, which you're using to support expansion for Odal. Like it's clear that there's so much potential with it and everything that you want to do. I want to ask you here, if the funding were no obstacle, what would the next big step look like for Odal?
we would have a one-stop drop-in center. So the babies would come in, you get mental health, you get physical care, because we know they probably ain't getting mental health and they probably not getting checked out. And for those of y'all that don't know, a homeless youth, the mortality rate is 16 times that of the general population. Because again, I'm on survivor mode. And people so sick, and I'm gonna answer your question, but people are so sick when they know you in a situation, some of these babies may get paid $1 more or $5 more, not to even use protection. Mm, yeah. I'm sorry. What was the question again? Because I just
No, but you
went
know
to
what? Again, I think this speaks to the potency of the power and importance of the work that you do, that there's always so much more that can be talked about. There's always like other bits that we can talk through. The question I want to zero in on here for the moment, if we can, is if money were no obstacle, what is
drop
that
in
next big
center.
thing? The drop-in center. Tell
Yes.
us,
So
sell us on the fantasy, everything, brick by brick, everything from floor to ceiling. Tell me
number
everything.
one, say it's gonna be in the hood. No offense to upper class, middle class. That's not where my kids are coming from. They're coming from the hood. It's definitely a safe space for sure, but mental health care, physical care, and all that. But this is the thing too. How are you going to be stable growing into adulthood? So life skills, because that's needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you cry pool, I got you. You won't start on my, but let's talk about your strengths. These kids are, I think, people in bad situations anyway, they're so used to thinking negative about themselves and hearing they're negative. We definitely gonna highlight what the strengths are. What are you good at? Again, that goes into life skills. We cannot do this by ourselves. So again, getting other organizations to come in to teach financial literacy. Okay, you get you a job. How you gonna maintain your money though? Because I don't know about y'all, but the teenagers I know, ooh, it's scary out here. Because the money gonna go to hair or a phone. that ain't gonna help you sustain, baby. So what we gonna do here? So teaching things of that nature, one stop shop, because it's overwhelming. You got to go this place for this, that place for that, this place for this, that place. That is overwhelming. It's over. You ever had to be on a phone line and someone's having with your phone and they're like, well, I'll transfer you to this department. And then the next department said, well, tell us what the problem is again. You're like, what? No. And the main thing with all of that, though, every adult is going to be trauma informed, trauma responsive, because I wish you would cause more harm on my kids. Physical is bad, but that mental, because again, people don't think about what you experienced and how you survived it. Because even when I was in a safe space, safer, I still replayed the last couple months of my life. I had somebody that had patience, patience for sure, because I'm a teenager. I'm an alien anyway. But then you throwing in that's a lot. And so I had somebody to will me in. You are okay. But what if didn't have that person? Or she got tired. Now I'm back in the streets. Then what? Then what? So because we are currently homeless now, I tell people that, yeah, we help homeless people and we homeless and we rocking. People like, what? Yes. Yes, because we've had barriers with that, but we ain't gonna go there. So yes, that is the main thing, because and it's again so simple for some. I want these babies to be able to come in and sleep. And I have people be like, what that got to do with anything? You can't sleep at night. You cannot sleep at night. You get caught slipping. You get turned out at nighttime. So just to have these kids come in and just relax, have a game room, because I'm big on and thank you for sharing your story, baby. I get, yeah, you got this trauma. Okay, I get that. But this is what you should have been exposed to. Being a kid, enjoying your youth, not worrying about if somebody gonna tiptoe over you. You know what I'm saying? So just even something as simple as that. And like I said, that employment piece, because kids can't, not forget kids. People on survivor mode, you can't trust them. They don't even know what they're gonna do the next 2 minutes. So just having them be their own entrepreneurs, because everybody ain't meant to work for nobody either. So, like I said, art works for us. We got a lot of kids, art crafts, Martha Stewart doing it. Okay, let's teach them how to sell their products. This product is good to sell. We don't want them selling the other stuff. So just, you know what I mean?
So for our listeners, what does a donation to Odal actually make possible? And if people aren't able to monetarily donate, what other ways can they support Odal?
Again, time. You can volunteer. They don't have to always hear my mouth at all. Everybody is to me, you have the possibility to be a success story. So whatever you're good at, share it. Share it. Sit. If you don't understand a population, sit. Have a conversation. They don't need you to feel sorry for them. They don't want you to feel sorry for them. They want you to see them as humans. Engage them. That's how you get over fear and stereotypes too. And for sure, so the time, the treasure, what you bring in, that goes a long way. That goes a long way.
Now, I want to say this here because sometimes I think with what we do as a podcast, people can get a little bit one lane about the messaging, right? We've always been very open and honest about who we are, who we represent, the communities that we speak to, the gainers and feeders, right? And I want to say this here for listeners who might feel any sense of confusion here in this moment. What we explore as a people through themes of gaining and feedism are tropes like nourishment and embodiment and care. That is at the heart of what we do in our day to day when we're not doing all the other bits and pieces. So, at its heart, when you think about the engagements that we're trying to foster here, we're talking about a lot of these same narratives, fostering intention and time and energy and support for the people that we're supposed to be caring about. And so, there is this crossover of nourishment, the What do we do to get the people what they need? And I want to ask you here, because so much of what you said is around particularly focusing on that nourishment. The idea of it is not just, I have this to offer you, let me give it. It's, well, what do you need? And how can I take what I have and give it to you? It's such a clear thread, I think, with a lot of the things that you're saying. How do you see nourishment playing a role in the long-term healing for the people that you're looking to serve?
It helps. I'm big on relationships. I'm big on that. Again, because of experience. And nourishment to me lets the baby know whether or not you've grown or grown-ish. Number one, you are worthy. I don't care your background. I don't care how much red tape. Because I tell my kids, if we go by body counts, I'll probably be a serial killer. So, because you got to talk plain to them like that. Because sometimes they feel like they're the only one, right? And still letting them know I didn't lose value. I added value to myself. Even on those down days, because we're going to have good and bad days as long as we live at this earth. But that nourishment, they're going to remember. Even if they don't, they act like they didn't hear nothing you said because you done annoyed them. They're going to reflect on it. Even think about just if somebody told you good wisdom and you just didn't want to listen because you didn't want to let that man go because he the best thing ever. But then it came back to you and it probably hit you like, yeah, I think I'm gonna listen to my Aunt Sally on this one. And you pivoted to something better. To me, nourishment is building, increasing your well-being overall. It's your well-being. It doesn't take away, it adds on. So even in that little snippet of what I said, is number one, letting that person know I am valuable, I am worthy. And you are not limited from where you come from and what you have experienced. And for sure, be careful of your surroundings because everybody will not be happy with your growth. Some people thrive in chaos. Some people thrive with seeing you miserable. And y'all in the same situation. You know what I'm saying? So just think it, and that was a hard lesson for me to learn, but definitely a blessing too. So I don't know. Again, I just no, I try to be what I wish I had prior to my auntie getting me off the streets because this is the thing. No child gets or anybody gets in a situation overnight. I was not homeless overnight. There were things that transpired a lot of times to get me to this point. So just being that intervention person or prevention person to stand in the gap, because you mentioned, it takes a village to raise kids. It take a village to raise some of these parents. And when mama, daddy can't, somebody should be stepping in the gap where they can. I feel like I went to the left on that. But this why I can't, y'all are bomb, but this why I can't be on Oprah. She'll get so annoyed with me.
So, with all this incredible work that you do, if every listener walked away remembering just one thing about Open Arms Transformation Living, what would you want that to be?
Well, of course, the bias thing would be, hey, we do the work. We don't just talk about the problem, we do it. But also, you are now without excuse to say, I don't know what to do. How can we help any organization? Because it just ain't Odo at all, because it's a village. You have a role to play now that you've heard my big mouth. What are you going to do? And for survivors, there is no shame on you. Whether or not you exploited yourself, somebody exploited, the shame ain't on you. The shame is not on you. You have the ability to still thrive. I know people like to say, oh, I survived, but I just told y'all, you can't trust no survivor because their emotions get in the way. A bad day, we don't know what's going to happen. But thriving means you are able to overcome, even on, again, those hey days and them days like, you like, I want to snatch this wig off. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points I want to make, but those are definitely the main ones. Yes, we do the work, but there's other organizations. You know what I'm saying? I need you to invest time, treasure, talent in one of them organizations. And I don't want to, yeah, this is okay, because I feel like you're either a problem added problem to a problem or your solution to a problem. So which one you gonna be?
That's so powerful. Fonda baby, this has been incredible to have you here to share with us so much about what it is that you do and just the nature of this. And really, I think this is quite the call out to people to say, listen, sometimes I know, especially in this day and age, the economy the way that it is, we look at our bank accounts and we just go, maybe I don't have the money to be that supportive person right now. And like, I get it. I think a lot of us are feeling that hurt. But like you said, I think everyone can find an hour in their week. Everyone can find something in their time that they can give to people to be a little more charitable in a way that still helps and still helps to resolve all of this that's going on. And to which point, Fonda, baby, I just want to say thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
guys.
today. Baby, now listen, we need to ask the all-important question. Where can listeners go to donate, to volunteer, or learn more about your programs?
Okay, so the website is oatltoledo.org. We are working on getting back on Zeffy for donations. However, where there's a way, there's a will. You can, for the Cash App, Queen, Queen, Esther, Esther, Pub, PUP. So it's Queen Esther Pub. You'll see my face on the subject line, put OATL, OATL. I promise it's going to go to the kids. If you go on LinkedIn, look up Fonda Royce. Now, my hat going to be different colors, but I'm the same person. You see the work that we do. Anything that comes, any donation, it goes straight to our babies.
That is fantastic. Fonda, I just want to say again, thank you for today. Everyone, this was our special episode for this year's Podcastathon. You can visit www.podcastathon.org to discover hundreds of other associations through the voices and talents of other amazing podcasters. But listen, y'all, that is a wrap for this special episode of Thicc Radio. Please remember to like and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a good review. Now, if you liked this episode, the podcast, our guest, or just us in general, please share it with your friends and encourage them to tune in. You can find me on Instagram and BlueSky at stannnum.
And you can find me on Instagram at thiccymouse and Grommr at Orpheus. You can also find us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Thicc Radio, or visit our website at podpage.com/Thicc Radio. If you'd like to become a financial supporter of the show, you can donate through our PayPal, and you can always email us at thiccradio@gmail.com. So until next time, bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Hi, thanks.
Let's talk about it.
Thicc Radio is a Spotify podcast
Artwork, media design, editing, and production by James Heinsohn.
with original theme music by CYMK.